All right. Good morning and welcome to Mo Knows featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. I wasn't supposed to be here this morning, but some developments happened overnight and I wanted to bring clarity where I need to bring clarity. Okay. So here I go. Good morning, San Francis. All right. This is the belly of the beast that just never stops giving. So I'm going to try to do this quickly, hopefully in 15 minutes, because I don't think it warrants more time than that. But I do see some, some spots. So let me first, I am not a bully. I am not an attorney. What I am is I'm a very passionate believer in justice. And I met some people here on the YouTube. Specifically, I met Alethea here on the YouTube. And when I lived in New Jersey, good morning, Miss G. When I lived in New Jersey, I wanted to meet Alethea when she was just doing her music, the things that she loved, right? But I never got a chance to meet her. We interacted. And when I got wind of the situation, and I got wind of the discrepancies in what was being put out here in the YouTube that I thought was irresponsible reporting, I spoke up. And I said to Alethea, if you need my assistance, I'm willing to help. I don't believe the information that you're being provided as to your resources. What recourse do you have in this situation are being presented to you? You got more people telling you that you made a mistake and you got to live with that mistake. And I don't agree with it. Anybody that's a victim of the heart, these romance scams, they suffer, they just suffer undue hurt. And I didn't appreciate it and I didn't like it. And I will continue. See, today is December 9th. I will continue to support Alethea in this endeavor because I believe her. I believe her story. I believe everything that she's presented to me. And I don't care what anybody else has to say on this. I believe her. And you don't have to believe it. I don't care if you don't believe it because I believe it. And that means something to me. So yesterday, Alethea was on the platform. She was on Straight Drops platform. Y'all could go check out Straight Drops platform yesterday. You'll see Alethea was up there because at some point in the conversation, Reckless stated that he knows that Alethea doesn't like him. So I wrote in the comments because I was listening at that point, and I said, Alethea doesn't dislike anybody. Contrary to what people believe, Alethea is loved. She loves everybody. Even those that wronged her, she has compassion for them. This is me, bullshit. But this is her. You understand? She practices her spiritual beliefs. So forgiveness is deep embedded in her. There could be some real kookiness about Alethea as well, where people think she's extreme. She wants the same thing in return. The same way she forgives and the same way she loves, she wants people to forgive and love her. She wants people to treat her good just like she is treating people. So she called me and I didn't answer, but she called me and she wanted to know why I wrote what I wrote in the chat. So then I had to explain to her what Reckless said and that I just wrote that in defense of her. And she said to me, I'm going to go on the panel. Good morning, Miss Tawana. She said, I'm going to go on the panel. So I said, okay, I'm going to wake up then. So I had to wake up, sit up, get myself acclimated to listen. She went on the panel. I did not go on the panel at that time. I just let her go because I felt like the conversation was going to be between her and Reckless. And, you know, there's some hurt. There was some hurt because there was some negative things said about her case from him and how he felt. And he's within his right to feel the way he feels. And all of you are within your rights to feel the way you feel. And I'm within my right to feel the way I feel. And Alethea, being the victim, shouldn't give a fuck about how any of us feel because she's the victim. In any event, she had a conversation with him up there. I would assume it ended well. A few minutes later in the duration of the thing, they start talking about, I call him Private Ryan. They start talking about Private Ryan. Y'all remember from the movie Saving Private Ryan. And they started talking about Ryan. Now, for those of you not familiar, Ryan is the name of the person who reached out to Alethea, the fictitious name, because we now know that's a fake person. But somebody by the name of Ryan reached out to her, wanted to marry her, was in the military, had this whole story. Bam. So he started speaking on Ryan. I called in and waited silently on the line, just listening to what was being said, but on the line. And Alethea went back on it. And I spoke up when Alethea spoke out for the second time. And the reason why I did that is because Ryan and anything associated with Ryan is what the case is all about. It's what the police are investigating. Whoever Ryan ultimately is or isn't, but more or less who he is, that's what the police are investigating. That's what the police are looking into. So, of course, I'm going to err with an abundance of caution. Good morning, Living Doll, when we go into the topic of Ryan. That's all. Because I will continue to tell you every month since this case came out here, Ryan or whoever pretended to be Ryan needs to know what is the status of the case. And they look forward to us giving them some output into the case. So what I did at the end of last month, I said, yo, coming into the month of December, contact the police department yourself. You know exactly where we went. Contact the police department. Just like I said, show me the dress, and nobody wanted to show us the dress, they never contacted the police department. And that's my point. Whenever the truth is on our side, they can't respond because they are lying. Now, I'm going to continue. I'm going to make sure I make something. I'm going to make sure I make something abundantly clear. As the months have progressed, so as we've entered from the January reveal of the story by Big Shirley and the demands, which way that really went, one day there'll need to be a conversation with some particular players to see how some things unfolded. Is it relevant? No, not at this point, because the damage already was done in January when they came out and they told Alethea's story. And no one's ever asked them, why are they telling Alethea's story? They told Alethea's story to insinuate that Alethea was a scammer. And they made a villain out of the victim. They tried to villainize her. And my only question has always been why. They told us themselves, right? The Robinsoners told us themselves. The wife said, me and my husband didn't believe that from the start. If you didn't believe it from the start, you thought it was too good to be true that this man wanted to marry her, why did you want to participate in the wedding? That part, as y'all say it. Why did you want to participate in the wedding? Why did you want to be a bridesmaid? Why did you want to drive all the way up here from Chattanooga, Tennessee to New Jersey or New York to participate in the wedding? When you don't have one pot to piss in, motherfuckers, and another one to throw it out of the window. You absolutely don't. In the months that have progressed, we've now learned how poor you really are. And it's not it's not something to look down at you or upon. It's just to say you couldn't afford to participate in this wedding. So I always contended that your lack of ability to afford this was the plus part of the scam. And I don't think I could say that any clearer. Who was going to pay for you to get from Chattanooga, Tennessee up here to New Jersey? Where was you going to get this money during the time period when you were strapped for cash? You had an $8,000 child support bill hanging over your head. You, the Robinsoners, you had a litany of arrests going on back and forth. Between you and your husband, y'all were arrested 3 times in 3 weeks. From the month of, this is what we've learned about you now. So what was reasonable? Could you even leave Tennessee to participate in a wedding up here in New York if you keep getting arrested down there? Like, I don't understand the particulars. I don't understand why you took the time to go into this woman's life like that and put it up here. Oh yeah, I understand what it was. It's called content. You had numerous people watching your live stream, and it built more confidence for you that your channel had this focus. You went on an expedition to other people's channels to tell the same story. So we've seen you, and we've seen what you've done. So yesterday when Alethea speaks and she's speaking out and she's saying she feel hurt, she told you that in that call, Miss Robinson. She told you that in that call. She was very honest that you hurt her by your actions. And I believe Alethea expressed that again last night. Sometimes conversations get mixed, but that's the overwhelming consensus that I've had from Alethea all along with you people. Wherein I don't like you, not because you ripped Alethea off. I don't like you because of the campaign of harassment you engaged in against me in July 2018. But it has no bearing. I personally dislike you. But when I deal with things on a professional level, I deal with things on a professional level. I have no bearings with you in this situation other than to say you guys will continue because you can. And the rest of us will either ignore you because we can, or where we deem it appropriate, we may react. But since you have never really done anything that I've asked you to do, because you know that the things that I'm asking you to do make sense and would alleviate people pointing fingers at y'all, because right now people are pointing fingers at y'all, and the reason why people are pointing fingers at y'all is for the same reason I've told you from the onset. You created this. You created this climate. You brought this to YouTube. And in doing so, for whatever reason, even if someone else was accusing you and you thought you was going to clear your name, good morning, Satsuma, that you was going to clear your name, what ended up happening was that you made yourself look horrible, and it spiraled out of control. And it showed who you really are. I believe this is who you really are. You are no friend to anyone. And I've watched you take apart women that I know dearly. You steamrolled over them. And I've watched you do it. All for views and entertainment purposes. For the sake of being on the YouTube. Now, I don't know if you went and you launched something last night. If you went back into your evangelical shit, if you took your demonic shit on the road and went back to your channel, I could care less. All I do know is I believe Alethea. I believe what happened to Alethea. I believe that somebody from within this community confronted Alethea under the guise of the name of Ryan. I believe that person confronted her and got her attention through Facebook. I believe that that person led her to believe that he was in love with her, he was going to marry her, and she initiated all the steps to be married. I believe that was a hell of a hoax to put on somebody, especially someone who had been through as much medical situations that she's been in. I believe that, she put out a video yesterday sharing her sharing where she is now in her recovery phase and explaining to us how happy she is. Do you see the smile on her face on yesterday's video? The one where she's in her natural hue, where you see her with her natural hair and you see her with her natural smile and you see her just as happy as could be. Every time this woman is happy, every time this woman is happy, you guys do something to make her unhappy. Every time she shows y'all just how strong and vibrant and loving she is, y'all do something to try to put her back in a dark place. Fuck you. She's not going in a dark place. She's not. We're not going to let her go there. And we're not going to let you put her there. This is an unfortunate event. It's almost coming up to a year anniversary of it. And we don't want to have that discussion with y'all anymore on it. And that's just where it ends. We don't want to discuss it anymore. We keep saying when something new arrives, we will definitely present it when we have new findings. I just wish that she just be left alone. She doesn't dislike any of y'all in this community. She loves all of y'all in this community. Even the people I don't like, she loves them. And you know this to be true. Take her for face value. Love her back if you want to, or leave her alone. No one is attacking you, Alethea, and no one is hating on you on this end of the woods. Everybody just wants us to let it go, let it go. And you're not a loser. Nothing about you is loser quality. You are a freaking winner. That is why um you're a winner, and they see it, and you show it, and you demonstrate it. And when they see that, they can't handle it, because people want other people to be miserable. Misery loves company. What we seen is we seen well, thank you, Bam. What we've seen is just that they love to keep people down. They love to keep people miserable. And what we've seen from good morning from you, Alethea. Good morning, Yvonne. We've seen you looking grand. Like I was so I'm so happy when I see Alethea. I'm so proud of Alethea. I'm extremely proud of Alethea. We as women who have not been um and I'm not going to say that we haven't been abused. In order to get stronger, we all got to go through something. So our journeys may have been different, and the things that may have come against us are different. But we still have tenacity and courage to stand in it. And Alethea shows courage every day. Now I may know more things from behind the scenes about her than what's up here in the real world, and she may know more things about me that's not before the camera, because we all are going through things. Like um we're all involved in something. Now I'm gonna have to read this, Bam, so give me a second. She's gonna be fine. Bam, sentiments are right, but it's not that. It's more than they just did this to Alethea. They've done this repeatedly to everyone that's opened up their that's opened up to them. They've done this to everybody. Yeah, I just, if you haven't checked out Alethea's video, if you haven't checked out Alethea's video yesterday, where she's talking about her year of being through this last battle with cancer and being cancer free in this last year, I just want you to pay particular attention to her smile and to her whole, like, just look at her whole aura, and she's in her natural stance, and she's explaining the things that the scars, and how those scars really have made her stronger. I'd rather talk about that and deal with that than all this other stuff. We definitely know that. We definitely know that. Um, I got much love for Alethea. And when y'all do this kind of stuff, then y'all make me have to take a whole trip out to the further end of Jersey to make sure that, everything's everything. Because I don't like feeling a certain kind of way about any of this stuff. But anyway, I will do what I have to do. And that's it. Be careful out here. Keep your keep who you are. Like, just be true to yourself. We owe no one out here in this universe explanations for stuff. I think we all want to see everybody get off the dumb shit. Hey, Mr. Walker, I've been missing you. It's just way too much. She, when they say kindred spirit, there's a lot you could learn from somebody like Alethea. And you know, quiet is kept. I'm gonna tell you something else. Hi, Miss Miles. Miss Miles always coming here talking about I stopped by. Just she don't hesitate when she see a new name. She's like, "Hey, I stopped by." Listen, there's so much. There's so much more to life than this bullshit. There is just so much more to life. There is so much more to this. There's just so much more to this. Oh, I was gonna say, I believe it or not, and I can't disclose who these people are, because I do speak to people on the YouTube, and I don't want them off the YouTube, and I don't want them to become victims of anything. But there are a lot of people on here, right, that are subscribers to my channel and subscribers to most of your channels, right? And they look at this stuff and they want it to end too. Saying to you, Bam, they want all this stuff to end too. They really do. And you know, I wish we could get the closure that we all seek. And I keep asking myself, how much worse would this have been had I not got involved? And that's it. But I love me some Alethea. And anybody who thinks bad of her, really, you're really missing out on something. If you think bad of her, I don't see her with a bad bone in her body. I just see her overly emotional and wanting to fit in and wanting the same love that she gives out all the way around. That's why this Ryan situation is so hard. Now, I hope I explained why I got up there and really giving y'all some clarity around what she can and cannot speak on. And those that want to make fun and be like, oh, so Monica's an attorney now. She returned to being an attorney. No, I've always been, in Alethea's words, I've always been Alethea's good friend. And I've been a partner with her in this journey. Now, y'all all know how I feel about calling friends and stuff. All right. No one said they took anything. So whoever's gears the hoe, if the Robinsons took her $10, why would they scam someone of $20 of a contest that they funded? Who's I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about Robinsons and $10. I don't really understand the one thing. I could care fucking less. So don't come over here. Take that back to the other places where they talk about that stuff at. And my personal take on anything about the Robinsons, they don't got one. Well, gears a hoe. Let me tell you this. Go back to the Robinsons and you ask the Robinsons why people think they did something. Nah, you came in here talking about $10 and $20. Now you come in here talking about 10,000. The bottom line is the Robinsons put that shit out here. The Robinsons introduced us to this whole story. The Robinsons told us that they sent their daughter to the house. Go ahead, ask me. Up, this is gonna be a problem. Whenever somebody asks you, can they ask a question? You know it's gonna be a problem. But go ahead. I'm about to go though. But whoever this person is, you go back and ask the Robinsons. They put themselves in that situation, and I continue to tell them, you're digging a hole for yourself. You're making yourself look guilty. Okay, they made themselves look guilty. I kid you not. They made themselves look guilty by how they put the story out. And I'm answering your question as honestly as I can. They made themselves look guilty. They put themselves in places they didn't need to be put at. And they kept coming out here telling the story. And even when I got involved and I said, all right, let's look at this and let's take this on another avenue. Then she came and was like, I did all of that. You repeating my work? I'm not repeating anybody's work. Yes. Somebody paid off. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened. And we didn't find out about the $8,000 in child support until it was how many months into this? We found out sometime in the summer about this child support payment that they made. It's just coincidental. And then when we asked, like, where did you get $8,000 from? When now you can see a whole history of somebody spending the month of December asking for money, trying to collect donations, not really evidencing how they spent the $8,000. How did they get $8,000 to pay? So it was weird. And then, other things have come out in the weeks that it's pulling. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, Mr. Walker. Every time we turn around at the beginning of the month, we go through this whole story all over again. Every time at the beginning of the month. And I can't, like, I said what I had to say at the beginning of the month. Call the police department and speak to the police department. Anybody that wants to know any information, we've seen these people call the police department. All these other stories about everybody else, we've seen them call the police department. It doesn't even it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter anymore. That's the when I keep saying people keep asking about the story, they ask about the story because they need to know where they are at and getting arrested. And they ask her about Ryan personally because they want to know where the police are. That's the closest avenue to figuring out what's going to happen. Is with whatever is going to happen to Ryan. I hope whoever did this to Alethea. But you know what's so funny about this whole thing? We as citizens believe that the police are going to do XYZ, right? And when you go into the police department and you're dealing with the police department, they do a risk analysis, right? Well, I call it a risk analysis, but they look at what does justice look like for them. And honestly, people being arrested is not the best outcome here. The best outcome is Alethea getting her $10,000 back. So if you ask me what I would advocate more for, is her to have her $10,000 back. And that's it. When you have these internet cases, and I've said this from the onset, when you're dealing with these internet cases, you're dealing with several jurisdictions. Police departments in one jurisdiction do not have the ability to go into another jurisdiction and make an arrest. They have to coordinate with the different police departments. So recently I watched this case unfold, right? In Tallahassee, down in Florida, where a man was killed. It was he was a professor, and he was going through a custody battle with his wife. These are not people of color, okay? It's not the same story. He's going through a custody battle with his wife, and her family, her brother hired a woman, and he hired his girlfriend. He had his girlfriend find him two people to commit to kill his son, his brother-in-law, and they carried it out. And they how they found out who did it was they looked at cell towers, right? This was over a 2-year investigation. Just on the cell towers alone, they looked at cell towers and they found out which phones were in the area during the time of when the man left his house that morning and went to the gym and then returned home from the gym. And they tracked whatever phones were in that cell towers between the gym and his home at that time. And they had to go through different states and the tower information and track back all the activity on a specific phone. And they were able to track back phones to the girlfriend of the girlfriend of the brother-in-law, down to the guys that the girl was connected with. Now the girl was had a mistrial, so she's gonna go back. The two men were found guilty, but it took them. This before the case could even it took them 2 years just to connect the phone logs. So now here we have a case where we're going from New Jersey to Arizona to wherever. It's going to take time. That's all I keep saying in the Alethea matter. It's going to take time. And I understood it. And when I looked into the laws, when all the other stuff was going on around here and people were talking about people sending their pictures and revealing their pictures on live and whatever, I came back and said that between the states, it's going to be hard. You have to figure out where the crime occurred, and then you're going to have to file charges where the crime occurred at. And then another judge if you're in, I'm going to use Minnesota, because I know Minnesota is not part of any of this stuff. If you're in Minnesota and somebody's in Louisiana, Minnesota can't force the person that lives in Louisiana to come to Minnesota to answer charges on this internet shit. Now, that is the circumstances today. Doesn't mean that this is going to be the circumstances in the near future as these cyber crimes continue to mount up. They are finding ways to catch people. And that's it. The bottom line is I'm going to call us a middle class community. But just to be nice, because a lot of us, we're a working class community. Let me just put it, hey, Diane, we're a working class community. And in a working class community, you have some undesirables. you have some undesirables, and eventually the undesirables get caught, or eventually we stop paying attention to the undesirables. People who think it happens overnight watch too much TV. No investigation involving 10,000 is resolved within days. It's more to it than people assume. The guilty are deceiving folks. It is that's exactly the point. And I'm gonna say this one more time, just for the people in the cheap seats that may not understand it. The police may not be worried about arresting somebody when their goal is redemption of the money. So we may never see an arrest in this case, but we may see a return of funds, or all the funds, some of the funds, or most of the funds. And I think that serves Alethea best when we talk about what's in her best interest. Because I mean, granted, even if someone is arrested, does that make her whole? That'll give people on here with channels a million things to talk about, right? But will it make her whole? Will getting her $10,000? Have you ever made a mistake in life and you just wish you could get your money back for it? This is a mistake. Somebody deceived her. We all should be wanting her to have her money back. And what we heard on all those lives at the beginning of this is she's not entitled to her money back because she gave it to somebody willfully. No, she loaned somebody some money so that they could pay for some medical shit for their family. She loaned somebody some money who had no intentions on paying her back. And you know this because he didn't marry her. He didn't even show up for the wedding. Let's not talk about car accidents. And and you know what? We haven't paid enough attention to that. But what is, when we talk about justice, what is justice in this case? Justice is her getting her damn money back. Ask all the people in the romance scams, right? When you look at all these romance scams and you have all these affluent white women up here explaining to you how they got ripped off from somebody overseas, pretending to be somebody and taking their money, what did they want? Their money back. So they want their money back. And that's just about it. And if we achieve that goal, we win. If anybody never gets arrested, we win. Because at the end of the day, Alethea is in a better place and nobody's going to ever do this shit again to her. Period. End of story. And the awareness that she wanted people to have is out here. And I don't see anybody coming back up here telling us that they've been part of any one of these money scams since Alethea. Not to that nature. And so she has achieved all of the talking points that she needed to hit with the community. Awareness was put out here. And she's in a better place. Anyway, that's my good deed for the moment. And for those of you that don't appreciate that I was on Straight Drops Live, I understand. But wherever Alethea goes, I'm gonna go too. And that's just the way it is. And if you dislike me for it, I could live with that. But I believe in Alethea, and in this case, Alethea and I are one. So where you see Alethea, eventually I'll be there. And if I'm not there physically, I'm there emotionally with her because she understands how I feel. And that's it. This is Mo, and I've got to go. Um, Boogie, I'm gonna give you some advice on that. Yes. And I'm not up here exploiting my relationship with Alethea. I love Alethea and I want the best for her. And fuck anybody around here who doesn't.